Calling the Public Safety Committee meeting of Tuesday, October 26, 2021 to order.
It's 3:03.
At 3:03 in the afternoon. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Atenian, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Let's see. Committee member Leffler.
Aye.
Committee member Janus.
Here.
Vice Chair Hightower is not in attendance. Chair Percuda.
Here.
And I see Mr. Hightower coming.
Heard my name in the hallway. Sorry.
All right,
Say
we're
you're
doing
here.
roll, so you came in at perfect
Say you're
time.
here.
You have to redo the pledge
So,
of allegiance.
Vice Chair Hightower.
Present.
Good job.
And then from our public safety personnel, we have Captain Benfield, Chief Capobianco, and Marine Safety Captain Malott are unable to attend today's meeting.
Okay. Regular orders of business and regular presentations. We do not have a special presentation this month, due next month. Any other regular orders of business that we have to attend to?
Staff does not have anything.
None at this point. All right, everybody got a copy of the minutes from last month, September 28th, 2021. Review those real quick and we can hear a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular Public Safety Committee meeting of September 28th, 2021.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor? Hands
Aye.
up. Unanimous. Okay. Oral and written communications. Any to note?
Staff has not received any written communications. And unless there are any members of the public who are here for oral communications, I'm unaware of any.
I'll just briefly, if I may.
Good time. Who are you?
I know he is.
Bill Kurtinger, I'm the Technical Director for Tri-Cities RACES, the Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service. And I just wanted to be here as you guys discuss your work plan in case you might have any questions about any items that might involve our volunteer team. I also have equipment here and can do a demo if desired after the meeting.
What does this equipment do before I decide if I want a demo or not?
Well, it basically what I have there is a server rack in a box that can run off of any 12-volt power source, like a car cigarette lighter or a 12-volt battery, or off a single power outlet, as I have it going now. It provides email, a file server, a fault tolerant text chat server, a voice, video, and text chat server, a very fascinating geospatial technical awareness server. I think that's it. It's pretty good for a little mosquito box, though. There's also a VoIP server, so able to support IP phones.
And so it's got an internal battery in it, or does that have to be plugged in?
It does not have an internal battery. I have a battery box I can easily power it with. I haven't plugged into one of your outlets here just for convenience.
So if you didn't have power, you could still power it up though?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how long would that last?
I have a 600 watt hour battery, so that kit sucks about 40 watts. So easily 18 hours without any power. And that battery box can be powered by solar, USB-C, pretty much anything.
Okay.
It's a pretty great. I didn't bring the battery box. I should have.
Well, I believe you.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's all. So in case there are questions about anything like
And
that,
how
I'm
this,
here.
and I guess how this all fits in is our work plan on communications and disaster preparedness.
Right.
Right. It's our backup in case the 800 megahertz system collapses and can't communicate outside the world, but it can also be used with all this other stuff as a supplemental.
Right, 800 megahertz is going to have a much slower data rate than what I can support on this equipment anyway. So for any data intensive applications, this would probably be a better choice than 800 megahertz.
Now,
Right? 800 megahertz is great for voice.
Sure. How about for video?
It can support video.
Got it.
So this, under the work plan, the communications disaster preparedness, this would check off one of our goals under number 1, identify the various governmental and private agencies that provide essential public safety-related services. Is that?
Right. In fact, Bill gave us a briefing about a year ago on the art and mesh and stuff. But he is now the technical director of the RACES program for Tri-City. So we're hooked into a big system at this point.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
question.
Charlie.
Yeah, Bill, this system isn't really, I think, your objective is to have a kind of an emergency backup internet system that will run Outlook and Excel and regular phone service and all that, so it's kind of transparent to the user. Is that where you're headed?
That is how it can work. Really what the city and this committee's role on a deployment of this technology would look like is, in the proposal there were three nodes in the city that work to just provide kind of coverage. No services necessarily, those are provided by volunteers like myself. The city can provide them if they want, but there's no obligation to. But San Clemente is kind of in a bowl, right? The only way I can get a signal out of the city on these higher frequency RF bands is from the highest points in the city, all of which are under the city's control. Just because of the laws of physics, the ideal location for a water tower also happens to be the ideal location for a antenna, right? So if those facilities are, if we're allowed to set up equipment there, we can cover probably 80% of the city and any strategic facilities that are in it, and we can get, very importantly, a signal out of the city if needed.
Important. Anyway, he's offered to make a demonstration after the meeting if we're so inclined. Okay. Thank you, Bill.
I would recommend that we don't close the meeting if there is going to be a demonstration, since there's no deliberation on this item, since it was not agendized.
Right.
A demonstration should be fine, but just for historical input, the last time this was discussed, I believe that everything that the Tri-Cities RACES team was looking for was something that the Deputy Public Works Director, the former Deputy Public Works Director, was able to approve based on his allowable budget amount and based on existing documents in the city, one being the general plan that encourages participation in these emergency communication services.
Sorry, gentlemen, is it open to the public?
Sure, yes. Public Safety Committee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Please come grab a seat. So the, if you wouldn't mind, if you could just hang out on the
Sure, sorry.
on the back.
Thank you.
So the former deputy community or public works director stated that under his authority, he could implement all of the items that the Tri-Cities RACES team was looking at doing. I know that that position is now vacant, but Bill, if you have maintained contact with anybody in Public Works, and if not, Kyle Koger is the new Public Works Director. It would probably be an efficient use of time to just try to pick up where Mr. Masboudi left off, since I'm not really sure what else the Public Safety Committee needs to provide in terms of authority to carry out that stuff out. As far as working with the committee on this particular item, that makes perfect sense, but just to get the infrastructure part of it done, staff's recommendation would be just continue discussing that with the Public Works Director.
I did meet with Kyle, and we found some Tri-Cities Races equipment in the EOC. I'm in the process of updating that now. But yeah, he's been a pleasure to work with so far, and I'll definitely continue to work with him on that. And I think we're all on the same page.
Okay.
And maybe Bill could just, if there's any great thing, epiphany that happens or whatever, you can come back and just brief us on that, so we, know any updates on the capabilities of the equipment or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be.
There are some exciting things on the horizon.
I don't want promises. I want you to come back and tell us when they happen.
I've got parts in my desk at home, so it won't be long.
Okay.
Good.
Any other?
So that would be it for, well, actually, you guys walked in during the oral and written communications portion of the meeting. So if, are you here about a specific item on the agenda?
Just
No, we
getting
just-
familiar what's going on in San Clemente. We've been attending Fridays, little
Oh, the
powwow
coffee.
and Friday mornings. Was told about this. They made it seem like there'd be more here, and don't recognize any of you guys from Friday, but none of them are here. I know that, so
Welcome.
we're doing a hard time. But I appreciate what you guys are doing, and if I
If there was a prize for the first people that came, you would get it.
I'm more interested. I just moved back to San Clemente in April of this year, and I'm more interested in what's going on around me, more of the captain's problem on Loma Lane in San Clemente.
Did I see you at a city council meeting? Were you at a city council meeting? Did I talk to you? Did somebody? It's,
Not yet.
okay. Somebody else is bringing up that particular park and all that. So I'm just,
Loma Lane is very interesting.
To say the least.
Yeah, my landlord is I don't even know where to begin.
well, as far
Well,
as
if you would like to make a statement, and actually at this point I would say if you could just say your name and place of residence for the record.
My name's Patrick Hopkins. Sorry, I didn't realize you recorded. I live at 133 Loma Lane, Unit A. My apologies. I just moved in there April 16, 2021. Since I've moved in, I've contacted the police 30 times, roughly myself, or Tricia. I've had everything go on from indecent exposures, men telling, police officers telling me they can't make an arrest based off all the elements of the law not being there. I know that the tenant before me died of a supposed drug overdose. His name was Brian Campos. We reached out to the coroner. The coroner said that he was called out on possible foul play. I willing to bet my life on it. It was foul play. I've researched the guy extensively, been through his family. Besides that, I know 12 days before he died, Orange County Sheriff's Department, and
We don't know who else.
I'd like to say maybe a low-level FBI. Maybe I would think this is what I know. No offense, is well over Orange County Sheriff's Department's head. what's going on my street is absolutely ridiculous. Everything from money laundering through real estate deeds, through I can show this black and white, to my landlord having 7 different aliases that go nowhere. His son that showed me the house is a ghost. I'm educated. I was a military police officer here in Camp Pendleton. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I have a degree in paralegal studies, and I just graduated nursing school with my bachelor's, my BSN. I wanted to get away from law. I didn't know where my benefits were going to go, so I got the paralegal thing just in case. Happy to be in the medical field, which is on hold because I'm literally fighting for my life. Her life. It's pretty bad. Yeah, my daughter.
We've
Do you
had,
have children? Yeah.
Yeah.
he has she just turned 9 on September. In July, we had the subtenants, and one of the subtenants from our building, we live in a duplex, and the building right next door is a mirrored image duplex. They were done by the same builder. I don't know who the builder was. But all the subtenants are friends, and one of our guys was, well, not from ours, it's from Unit B, the subleases. But we're over one night, and he went outside to have a cigarette, and I'm sitting on the couch, you know, we're minding our own business. Next thing I know, I hear him talking. I'm like, who are you talking to at 2 o'clock in the morning? Like,
Well, you know, it was a regular basis by
and
this
they went
point.
ahead and threatened him, like started calling him racist, saying that they're gonna show him who racist is. So I get up, go, like, what's going on? I end up recording it. We call Orange County Sheriff's Department, have it on recording, and going like, the one guy going like this, saying, I'm watching you, and like going like he's doing a gun. And the officers that came out said that
Officer Moon.
it was Officer Moon and some other guy, I didn't catch his name, said that sometimes people think that some crimes are more serious than other crimes. And I was like, we have a child. At the time, she was only 8. And I take a threat on my life or anybody's life extremely
Not to
serious.
mention, this household, supposedly, we were told by the neighbors, it was like 15 years ago, but 3 people from this house, my house, because we can show it all intertwined, they have a revolving circle. I can trace aliases from all these 3 people that supposedly had their heads chopped off. They were deported back to Mexico for some odd reason. What did we find out? This was 2015?
It was 2015. They were
This happened?
they disappeared. The story we were told by the homeowner neighbors is that the one guy got deported. I don't know why the other 2 were there, his brother and sister-in-law, but they were traveling at night in a pickup truck with tools in it. They were pulled out, decapitated. And then we were told by a different homeowner neighbor who Airbnbs his property, who came to the Saturday house that we all hang out at, and went ahead and said that first time we ever heard that they were shot in the head, not decapitated. And he went ahead and went like this, saying that the son was gay big. Son's like 20. Made sense if it happened like 15 years ago. Found out through social media it happened in 2015, so he was not gay big, he was like gay big.
Yeah, he's
Yeah. So now he's like early 20s,
none of
late
the
teens.
stories make sense. The more you dig, I pull the deeds to the properties. I trace the money opposed to the names. It's gotten that deep, and you know, if you pull them.
So, if I can, just for a second.
It's crazy what
So,
I'm facing.
yeah, so this is the oral communications point.
Sorry.
Portion. No, it's fine. There's a time limit of about 3 minutes per person. We let Mr. Kruger speak a little bit longer. I've let both of you speak. However, just to address your concerns. I'll give you a little bit of background. The Public Safety Committee is an advisory body to the City Council, and they weigh in on issues related to the performance and the execution of public safety services within the city. If you want to hang out and listen to the discussion as they develop that work plan, you're more than welcome to. We have Captain Tony Benfield, he's in charge of police services with the city, and I think if after the meeting,
Correct?
no,
That's
Sorry.
yeah. If you want to discuss with him, it sounds like your issues are more related to.
Direct police response.
Yeah, direct. I mean, I don't know exactly how to advise you here, but I can tell you the specific issues you're dealing with are probably outside the purview of the Public Safety Committee. However, you do have some people here that could provide you some direction.
Real quick, I'm just looking at pictures of 133 Loma Lane. How many units are actually in that?
2.
Just do A and B?
However, we found in our research that at some point or time, there was a unit C. Now, how that's humanly possible is beyond me.
Yeah, it looks like a duplex.
Yeah, it's the front unit is,
Could be nice.
our unit. It's a 2-story, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. Then each unit has what's now a 2-car garage. At one point, it was a 2-car carport. They've since enclosed them fully with garage doors, and then Unit B is on top of the garages.
The guy.
And then there's a laundry room that's shared between the 2 units that's downstairs by the trash cans.
Who did you get this from?
I was at the time was told his name was Jay Toy, Jay, last name Thoi. His name is Chay, Chay, Chu, middle name Cuu, last name.
Is there a management group you deal with?
No.
No, he owns he owns 8 properties throughout Orange County. Well, this area of California, pretty much. One of them commercial, a Now place. I believe he's more into the drug game of the fentanyl. There's a large ring of that going on. I think they have a lot of people fooled. The guy behind me supposedly goes to Mexico once a month. I question if that's always happening. I can show you so much interesting things.
Hey, Chief, is there?
Sorry.
No, I'm trying.
They
Is
talked
there?
about the 3-minute rule on the Friday.
No,
Keep right
it's
there.
all right. Is there anybody that could meet with these people from your department, and maybe
I mean,
get some background and try to figure out?
I literally cried and begged to the officers. I was like, we will help you guys. There's guys sleeping in Unit B's garage. I was like, you guys can come over, be your brothers, be your cousins, be your friends, have a barbecue. I don't care. Y'all can be undercover in darks. I don't care. Just please help us. I've been begging since July.
It's bad.
And I had Officer Moon look last time when the guys threatened to kill us and
Yeah.
whatnot. He honestly looked like he was gonna
Feel
cry.
bad for throwing him out there. He's one of the better ones that responded.
He was just like, I just don't know what to do.
I think, I don't know.
Have you-
James, your new.
Have you submitted a complaint to code compliance on this?
Yes.
And is your name Tricia Long?
Yes.
Okay.
So you know about this already? Okay.
I'm aware you submitted a Public Records Act request. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm aware of that. I don't remember the specific documents that were pulled, but was
There was
something on code compliance? I believe that
Yes, there was a.
we addressed the 3rd unit that was there, but I don't know that we have any cases open on the improper use of habitable or non-habitable areas.
The whole thing is the whole place is none of it's up to code. None of it meets the habitability of the 17.
So have you actually submitted an actual complaint to code compliance?
I believe I did that in August went ahead and sent the complaints. We had Brett Fuller come to the property. He went ahead and did like the little inspection for the property, but he would only go ahead and address the issues regarding Unit A, not the Unit B with the subtenants. We were told by all the neighbors who are homeowners that we hang out with, that we're friends with, tell us that, I don't know if it was the city or the police officers, because it was before our time, but told us just to go ahead and any problems we had to call, complain as much as you can to the officers as well as to code enforcement. We've had neighbors go ahead and say that they're calling regarding the possible people living in the garage just because they see how much traffic it is. They know from before we even lived there
We
that
installed cameras.
there was,
Drove the
they
traffic.
never knew who was coming, who was going, who was in what unit.
Yeah.
12 days before Brian Campos passed away, as he started saying, there was a raid, a warrant sweep regarding it.
Yeah.
Here's my card. Just send me an email.
Okay.
I'll look into this issue. I will tell you this. We cannot enter a residence and we cannot get a search warrant to enter a residence based on hearsay. We need actual evidence. We either need the description of a violation from somebody who lives in the unit and they provide us consent to inspect, or we need some evidence of something not up to code. But if we entered residences based on other people's descriptions, we'd go into every single house in this whole city.
That
I
makes
got
sense.
water dripping from the foundation of the unit. And
Yeah,
my
so as long
driveway-
as there's something that we can independently verify,
Oh,
then we're more than willing to help you out. So let's start with an email.
okay.
I will follow up on what's been done so far. I'll talk with Brett, I'm his direct supervisor,
Okay.
and I'll discuss the issue with him, and
Perfect.
we'll make sure that
Thank
we
you.
address all of the issues that we possibly can for you. And if we can't, we'll make sure that you have the information about any other agencies that you may have some remedies with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Appreciate it
definitely.
very much.
Are you on a year lease?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you want out of the lease?
We were thinking about walking out, yeah. I've been getting paid for, by the VA organization, through my transition from graduating and becoming a nurse, and it's just kind of been a little much thrown at me in the last few
My
months.
imagine living in fear isn't working.
Yeah, no, that's, the one neighbor is like, pack up and go. She's like, people either go in there, they either walk out in a body bag, or a lot worse than they go
I don't
in.
know what's going on there, but if you're living in fear, you know,
It's nuts.
it's
Yeah,
not
we're
working.
literally like prisoners in our own house.
Yeah, you look pretty shaken. I understand why.
Welcome.
Pretty interesting.
Welcome to our
Thank you.
meeting.
Welcome back to San Clemente.
I thought to get back here. I told my
Oh,
ex-wife
what
I'll
about
be
this?
back.
I think I'd be looking for a way to break my lease somehow.
I have a few. It
Yeah.
was more the money and you know, where do you go?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah.
So.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, a phone number for one of you, and we'll have one of our narcotics investigators reach out and see if there's something that they can do.
Please, thank you.
You know, if you prefer, it sounds like their issues are mostly code compliance related at this point. Let me have my staff follow up
Okay.
with you guys. We'll investigate the matter. If there are issues that are police services related, I'll have my staff I'll contact you.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds like it did a lot better. Okay. We're back to reviews and recommendations.
Should we be going over this work plan? Just to see if there's any issues with anybody has before we submit it?
If the committee would like, I can go over and do a brief overview of what's been done how we got to these published work plan documents.
Right.
And most of them are pretty straightforward, but there are a couple notable exceptions, and there are some things I do want to bring to the committee's attention for their consideration. Anyway, so the first item is the communications and disaster preparedness. This item, the only thing that was done for this item was we updated the project timeline and identified that this is an unfinished project from the previous year, but nothing else has been changed on that one. The homelessness and best management practices for public safety personnel. This one, there was some additional detail added, specifically under purpose, goals, and deliverables of the project. The last sentence that starts additionally, the committee will coordinate with the OCSD, City Code Compliance and Park Rangers, and the city's community outreach staff in order to identify any factors that could be addressed in order to maintain and improve public safety in San Clemente. That was added, and then the timeline and the project status. Legislation review, that just the same items were updated on that one.
Yep.
Neighborhood watch, this one was some updated language was provided by committee member Janice. This is really, and one of the questions I had was, the project name is remaining the same, but committee member Janice had this identified as the Neighborhood Watch implementation phase. So I don't know if the title of the project name should be updated to say that it's for the implementation of this. And then most of the purpose, goals, and deliverables of the project have been updated to reflect that this is implementing the work that was previously done.
Well, that might
one
be
thing
good
that-
since we worked on it for a year, is to
actually
have
implement it?
something, yeah,
No.
you know.
Yeah. No, I think that the project is going according to a reasonable time frame. One thing that does need to be discussed, though, is that in this new description, there's an additional person identified as being part of the program, and it's the program director. Last year we had a city staff person, and that city staff person was identified as working 2 to 4 hours per week. This new project under resources needed has staff time of being 4 to 6 hours per week. The questions I have is, who is the program director somebody, or do you anticipate this being somebody on city staff? Is this just a person who is kind of elected to that role? And then is the staff time, does that reflect just city staff time?
Rick and I had discussed that, and anyone could be a program director, it could be one of us, but as working with this program for the last year, I believe it should be someone in city staff. We thought Ziad was going to be our ace in the hole. He seemed to be very into it and was wanted to go in with the community preparedness and everything else. But he's gone now. So right now, Rick and I are the program directors. We organize the geographical areas and our goals and everything like that. But now we're getting into a point where we're going to be actually implementing this. And so we have Lisa, who's going to be our rep from the OCSD, and we'll be meeting with her within the next couple of weeks to find out what she has to offer us and what time she has, what time frame. We just had a neighborhood watch meeting last week at T Street, and we had the OCSD video people come out, and they shot some video and stuff, and if they could use some of it, fine. But their plans is to develop a generic video that anywhere in the county could use for the neighborhood watch, and that would help the OCSD, the person equivalent to Lisa, not having to go out there every neighborhood watch meeting that comes up. They'll be able to stream this video. So that's where we're going there. But we do need someone that's going to be a program director that's gonna be able to foresee all this, and, what do you think, Rick? You think
Well, yeah,
one of us can do it? I don't think that I would have the time to do it.
I originally said, I'd be the figurehead, but there should be somebody from the city assigned as this. What they asked for us on there is, I will help them, Joe will help, we'll be like their staff, but there should be somebody in the city that's assigned to this, I think.
When we start developing a website, and when we start having a database of what sections and what areas and what blocks, we have someone that's active, we need someone to organize that. Hey, we already got a watch group going right here.
And I
So that's
really
gonna be
think,
time consuming.
I think that, but I think once it gets going, I think 2 to 4 hours, you can put whatever hours you want, but I think 2 to 4 hours is really reasonable. I can't believe once it's going, you have all the block captains working and with Lisa and us, I can't believe that they would take an hour a day, just reviewing this stuff. I think it's going to be really low time, but it needs to be a point of contact with the
And
city.
it all depends on how successful a program becomes. If we advertise and we get 300 people that want to start a group, well, it's going to be a lot more time than just an hour a week,
A day.
Yeah. It just seemed to me, but we don't know that at this time. What we do know, we have to have someone that we're going to be able to say, hey, you know everything about the program. So-and-so from Riviera District just called and they want to start a program. So who's going to take that information, contact this guy, and get him all the stuff he needs? It's not going to be Rick or I. You understand what I'm saying? So someone has got to be able to take that responsibility on. And we'll be talking to Lisa about it a bit to see how much time she has to do it. But we haven't spoken to her yet on that stuff. Looking forward to doing it.
If I may, I'm also the block captain for my area neighborhood watch, and we worked with, it wasn't Lisa at that time, but we worked with a person in that position to get started up. And it's not a tremendous burden to be a neighborhood watch block captain, at least in my community, and yours I imagine might be quite a burden. But and if you guys need help with like a website or maintaining things, there's existing neighborhood watch organizations that can help, and I'd be a part of that. So, and now I don't know if that's included part of like an overall strategy to involve CERT, where ACU's neighborhood watch.
It's going to be down the road,
integrated,
yeah.
but that's.
And when we can call this the citywide neighborhood watch, most every other city has somebody at the city appointed contact, on these neighborhood watch programs.
Yeah, so the question was, because the estimated project cost, that was left blank because it wasn't clear whether the program director would be a city staff position
For a volunteer.
or a volunteer.
We
The one thing I would say is that the program director, it's going to be a little tricky having a volunteer position be a director of anything that directs the actions of city staff. And the reason for that is because the Public Safety Committee is an advisory body to the City Council. The City Council actually does not have any direct supervisory duties over city staff. Everything goes through the city manager. So the city manager can identify the people that the committee is recommending be placed in particular positions for this work plan. But I guess the question is, what would a program director do differently than a city staff member? Or can those both be the same?
They could be the same one.
They could be. Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so previously, the city staff support for the neighborhood watch program was provided by OCSD. I don't know if that's the same direction that you're thinking.
So the city, OCSD couldn't go out and advertise the program. That's one thing they couldn't do. They couldn't go door to door, put door hangers.
Yeah.
But when someone called them, then that's when they would take over. So what Rick and I have done, we said, okay, we're going to organize the program, we're going to advertise the program, and we're going to get up and running again. So, and that's where this city staff person or program coordinator needs to be.
Okay.
I think the problem with any program, if you have 3 different people trying to do the same thing, either something doesn't get done or you duplicate efforts. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So if we could get a city staffer or program, whatever you want to call it, that Rick and I can meet with and Lisa can meet with, and then we could avoid this duplication of efforts, or we'll make sure everything gets done. But without someone on city staff that's going to be committed to this program and knows everything that we know about the program, it's not going to be a successful program. We got to have somebody that's going to be there.
Okay, so in Captain Benfield, is this is the use of your staff's time?
So the only position that deals at all with neighborhood watch, this is across the board throughout all cities that we contract with, is the crime prevention specialist position, but that's not their job. They have a full-time job, and so that's why kind of our response, the model that we use is more like the gentlemen are talking about, how we will assist with, let's say, a particular neighborhood that doesn't know how to organize or get a neighborhood watch going. And they'll basically just provide information, and then we'll show up to certain city council meetings when the schedule is allowed to give the latest trends in crime or ways that people can protect themselves and their property. It's really more of like an advisor. It's not so much a hands-on, and it's not even so much like a committed position. What you guys are talking about is unique in that you're basically trying to unite the neighborhoods under one
Umbrella.
one group.
Yeah.
And yes, they'll all have their individual neighborhoods, but they will all kind of come together, which I think is a good idea for consistency. And because what's occurring in your neighborhood is more likely occurring in their neighborhood, and in your neighborhood, it's the same stuff everywhere. So it makes sense that, and plus it's more efficient if you can have block captain meetings instead of individual neighborhood meetings. Now it's more like train the trainer. We can come out and say our piece, and then the block captains can go back and disseminate that information amongst the residents. I like the model. I think it's smart, and but it's new, and so these kind of bridges have not been crossed yet.
Right.
I can tell you that Lisa is swimming in work.
Yeah, exactly. There's support.
Okay,
thing.
so, we're talking about a program director that's a city staff person.
And you don't have to call the program director. You can call it coordinator. Call it whatever you want.
Somebody who owns this.
Exactly.
Okay. Who was the person you were thinking about?
Well, Ziad
Was it Ziad?
It was.
Justin had worked with us before.
Justin Mink is a GIS specialist.
That's all? Okay. No, he did a good job getting that for us.
It's probably going to be somebody that maybe you and Eric could talk about, maybe in the city manager side, somebody that might be able to do it. That maybe
I'm just trying to get a general ballpark for what.
And maybe it might be, I don't know how much city staff you have and people actually live in the city, but it might be even a resident or might even be more excited about doing it, maybe. And the bottom line is,
your thought was like a volunteer from within the community who's willing.
Well, and that's
to
what Joe and I. But Joe and I, we'll do whatever we can, but we might not be here as long as this program, and it's going to need at least an anchor point within the city.
And the first year is going to be the
most difficult.
we need this person to have the ability to create a city website for us. And we could, stream things from that website.
Well, not necessarily personally do a city website, because we might find a volunteer who is able to do that and
We could have streaming stuff too.
The bottom line is that's where you're going to get all the credit, Adam. That's the perfect thing about this. This looks like a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to talk about Task 3 when I got around to that, but
Silver
you brought it up. Designing a website, first of all, you got to start out with what do we want the website to do. Somebody's got to think that through. And then you got to find somebody that can turn it into some kind of a real application, and then you've got to have somebody to maintain it. It's not a trivial undertaking to design a city website. So I don't know what you guys are thinking, who you're going to get to do all this work. But
well,
it's difficult.
That's right. Just someone within the city or someone we find.
Well,
we know from the get-go this one could be an easy task, but what is? When you develop something big like this.
I just wonder, is there anybody in the city? You said GIS, but that's not really a website designer.
No.
The city has lots
we
of
have a Facebook page, and that is maintained by city staff.
Yeah.
I mean, our IT division would be able to take care of any of these technology-related issues.
So they can
What we're
design
talking
a
about though
website?
is for a, absolutely, is what we're talking about related to more of a program director would be somebody that would like go out and coordinate with all of these people, and that's outside of the purview of the IT division.
So Lisa sent out an email several months ago before she went off, and it was all the neighborhood block captains asking them if they still wanted to partake. Well, I knew one of my friends wrote back and said, yes, I would, but then he didn't hear anything back. And that's because she went off, and I mean, if you have 200 people that write back, so we need someone that can coordinate all that stuff coming in. And I don't think the crime specialist has the time to do that. So that's where we are. That's what this city staff person or program director, whatever you want to call it, is going to do.
Well, mainly the contact has to be through the city. When people call, they're interested. They're not going to call me or Joe.
No,
You know,
there's a number. There's going to be a number that they can get
or,
hold of,
or an email thing that they
or
can
an email. Yep, and this person is going to have to.
And then I'd be more than happy to help that person when they say, hey, 6 people have called, here's their callback numbers. I'd be happy to call them back and say, here's what we've got going. But again, it's got to be a point of contact with the city somehow. You know, what the initial contact has to be with the city or the city.
What department in the
webpage.
city do you think we should handle that?
Well, I think there's a number of opportunities.
Code enforcement?
So code enforcement has, we began setting up a geographic areas. Then there's 3 because that's how many weekday staff we have, where each person would be responsible for a certain area. Now, most of our cases are determined by the complexity of the case, not the actual location of it. However, the idea being that each of the 3 areas of the city would have one code compliance staff person that they could talk to, and the types of activities we were looking at doing with those geographic assignment areas was coordinating with groups like HOAs and neighborhood watch groups. That would effectively dissipate the work of one city staff person amongst 3, but it would then require all 3 of those staff to come together to deal with any like umbrella issues that all of the neighborhood watches would
I think
be contacted. Now, the caveat with this is that one of those positions is vacant, and based on the amount of vacancies in the city, it's probably going to be 6 months before that gets filled.
And you have to train them
Now,
up.
the timeline for this work plan project means it's probably not going to come into full effect until the end of this fiscal year. So that actually could work out decently. So that's an option. I could see somebody in the city manager's office dealing with it in coordination with OCSD. Code compliance staff works with OCSD on a regular basis as well, so I'm not really worried about losing touch with police services.
Who in
I'm
the
just
city
trying.
manager's office can do something like this?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, and nor would I guess.
Can I
On record,
Just because I'm pretty impressed with some of the personnel in the city manager's office.
I'm impressed with all of them. I just don't want to.
I just
They won't be so impressed when they hear that this is the new director of the neighborhood.
It gets down to who has the time.
Well, nobody has the time.
If that's the case, nobody has the time, then we're in big trouble.
can I just throw out just brainstorming stuff like
Yeah, okay.
oh thank you very much. RSVP.
Yep.
That program. They are kind of in line with the whole thing, but they are strictly volunteer, and I'm not sure, what kind of talent or ambition or what they'd like to do. But is this something that they could take on too? Do you think?
I mean, like you said, they are volunteer. They kind of work select positions, doing what they want and when they want.
Right.
And so I think you guys are looking for somebody that's probably more of a fixture, like a dedicated person.
Meaning continuity
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. So that could be problematic with them.
So, and Rick and I talked about that, RSVPs, and we said, well, we had 10 guys were really into it, they could each be district captains, and, you know, then we started looking at the real thing. So I know our police, I know our police budget is very, very tough, and I understand that. But if, I know everybody's owed more officers, well, how about a neighborhood watch officer, that's all they do? I mean, they wouldn't have to get the same retirement as a regular deputy, field deputy, they'd be more in line with a, you know, one of
Like
the
a
staffers.
CSO kind
Yeah,
of-
some of the staffers. What kind of money would that cost for us to have a officer that is just dedicated to that?
Couple $100,000 a year.
At least,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Salary benefits.
Sure.
The CSOs, I think are around 130,000 a year. And don't quote me on it because I could be wrong, but I was just looking at the contract today. And I think they're around
Do
130,000.
CSOs have any extra time?
Ours don't. So ours are all full-time member. These like we don't have any extra staff with nothing to do. In fact, we're and I don't no talk on. We're under like this desk is not filled for a reason because we don't have a person that can fill it. And there's a bunch of spaces. We have our own station that we don't have positions. We don't have bodies to put in positions that we should have if we're our own station. But if you were making an argument like, hey, we should hire a person, it wouldn't even have to be through the sheriff's department. You know, I mean, that's a consideration for the city. Is there
You're
funding
absolutely
for a
right.
position?
That's absolutely right.
Because there are plenty of people out there in the private sector who have experience in security or whatever that could help. And then we, of course, would work with them just like we work with you guys and give
You
them
know,
the
when
same
I-
information.
When they hired Carly, I just, my antennas up, well, maybe she could do this too. But I
Right.
guess she's real busy too, you know, so.
Yeah.
So,
But if you
I
want
agree with
this,
you. It'd be a city position would be.
And then the real argument, I think, for you guys, a little bit of an uphill battle here, just on optics, is that homelessness, right? The Carly situation is something that has everyone's attention. Neighborhood Watch, although it should, it doesn't get the same billing.
You're right.
It doesn't.
Oh, you're right.
And it should have. And so, how do you put it more in the spotlight to where you guys get some of the attention? This is a good start, I think. The Public Safety Committee approaching one of these topics like this, and then try and develop a system that can show a need for it. From my perspective, knowing what we do with Neighborhood Watch, I wouldn't have enough work to put a full-time body in it. That's why I would say there's other options
Right.
that you can find someone that they can do that.
We all have.
And plus, the people that we hire, generally speaking, might be looking for like an office specialist or crime prevention specialist, something along those lines. The CSOs, they have different training, and so it wouldn't really be as applicable. But if you're out there hiring from the private sector,
See, I-
take your pick.
I think we can make our money out if we name parking attendants also, or parking, giving tickets for parking. I think if someone's out there doing both and writing tickets, I think we can pay for the
Yeah.
position. I might be wrong, but I think we could.
I'd do it for 90,
90, you would?
90 a year.
There you go.
so the emphasis on neighborhood watch, you have to make a crisis before anything moves that way, right?
That's how you get people's
That's
attention.
what homeless did, it became a crisis.
Right.
Well, we're doing prevention work on the neighborhood involvement stuff. And as burglaries go up, the cry is, what are we gonna do about this stuff? The things that you've bringing up over there, what are we gonna do about this stuff? It's where this neighborhood involvement thing, but like you're saying, it's not a crisis yet.
Right. You're actually trying to prevent a crisis, right?
Exactly.
It's counterintuitive to getting attention.
If you do it right, there's nothing.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, you go unnoticed.
So, but the city council has made this a big thing.
Sure.
And if they made it a big thing, then we go to them and say, hey,
This is what it's
You know,
going to
we-
be. Yeah,
we need someone to run this program.
right.
Yeah, that could be, I mean,
We'll just leave it.
your purpose is
That's
to advise the council,
advisory,
so.
right.
Yeah.
Just bang on the door and say, okay, this is the plan, you know?
Identify an approximate figure.
So, Adam, just since you started brainstorming, we'll continue. For code enforcement to hire someone that would run this program and also be a person that could write citations for parking violations, do you think such a person could pay for themselves by writing parking violations, also can conduct this program?
At neighborhood watch meetings, they go watch meetings and just write tickets to people on parking.
Okay, that's me. To the council members that come. I had one last year, the councilor parked, one of the neighbors said, hey,
It's
you
gotta
gonna
cross my
do
driveway.
parking there? I go, no, not.
I think Adam's come up with something better though.
All right.
Well, to answer your questions, code compliance does not issue parking tickets right now.
No, that's here nor there, you can.
No,
Someday
we
you
actually can't. We don't have the authority to write parking tickets.
Well, what authority would it take to do it?
I would take a code amendment to do it, and it's not that it's impossible, but it's. I will say that the skill set expected of code compliance is to the point where it's any additional stuff is too much for one person to remember, and we're going to spend most of our time just reading the code and trying to re-educate ourselves on tasks that we've done a million times, and I want to avoid that. However, code staff may be able to assist in this. We do have one of the vacant positions is a senior level position, and that could be something that gets assigned to that person, especially if it's only 4 to 6 hours per week. However, we don't have that position right now. So what I think might be a good alternative is for an amendment of this section of the work plan. If you want, I can read it unless one of the committee members would like to. But to address the committee's concerns, staff would recommend that the goal number 1 be amended to read: recommend city staff assign a program director to work with OCSD designee and the Public Safety Committee to develop and implement the program. The end quote there. By doing that, the City Council, once approving this work plan project, would in essence be directing city staff to investigate the most efficient position to address the program needs and assign the appropriate staff person.
I like that.
Since the council is in charge of the city manager's office, if they're not, in concurrence with the person that we've chosen, they would have the ability to address that with the city manager.
I like that, but a few questions I have about that. How long is it going to take to get to that point, to get to the council, put something out, find somebody, the whole shot? And I mean, we're planning on starting all this stuff, getting it advertised, and hopefully by February, March to do our kickoff on it. If this is going to happen, then we're going to be probably pushed back to August, September, maybe even later.
No, he's not saying we have to wait till this new position opens up.
It's not, and it actually, I'm thinking of using existing staff.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm thinking of using existing staff is because based on the last couple of years of the budget cycle, I'm not seeing a lot of new positions being created, with the exception of like the community outreach worker.
The second one?
The first and the second one. Everything else has been status quo for the last few years, and I don't know that we're going to get a new position just to deal with the neighborhood watch program. With that said, we have a few vacancies that are in areas where I think that position would be appropriate.
So you do
for
have
dealing
someone
with
there,
this.
the interim, we could use the interim to find if we're going to do that.
I would need to identify somebody.
Because I'm just saying, I don't want Rick and I to be spinning our wheels and doing all this stuff when we're not going to be able to get that point. We don't have anybody to take that. And so if it's the council we have to talk to, say, hey, before we go on, we're going to need this done. Because so oftentimes in cities, I know everyone's busy and everything else, but I mean, we're just going to be spinning our wheels.
Well, I've spoken to the city council members about this, and I have a strong suspicion that they will approve this work plan like this.
But we're still at the same.
No,
same
we're
problem.
not. Once they approve it, then
Then what's going to happen?
they will find somebody that will be the,
Coordinator.
whatever you could call them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes, I mean, if this all goes smoothly by the first of the year, probably we should be able to have an idea of what do you think? I mean,
If you're planning on rolling this out in February or March, I would think that we're probably at the March, April, May timeframe. I mean, there's multiple layers to recruitments. One being, now is not really showing itself to be a good time to hire people.
Well, we're just saying that this
We're just
person
not getting
could be
along,
an
like-
existing
It could be
staff member
existing.
for now.
Well, here's what I can tell you. In code compliance right now, there's nobody that has the time to do
I know it's
this.
the city manager's office, maybe.
This, I don't even think there's anybody in the city manager's office would have the time to do this. We're gonna need to fill some vacancies first, and then based on which vacancies get filled, and the skill set required for that position, somebody will probably be more appropriate to do this work than anybody we have right now. Or it would require a vacancy to be filled to take the burden off of somebody who's currently employed here in order to free up the time for them to do it. And I can think of a few positions, like I said, there's a senior level position in code compliance that this could be, that they could take on that program director.
Okay,
Who is in charge of the emergency preparedness now? Emergency preparedness, is Kyle? Is he in charge of that now?
No. Oh, yes, yeah. He's the director of public works, and that's in fact,
Okay, since at
that-
one time in the future, we plan on having neighborhood watch and certain everything come together, would it be wise to find someone in that area?
Is this really part of Public Works?
I'm saying,
it's an idea. I mean, in
Think
other
you're gonna-
communities, law enforcement is the director of, and then you'd end up with a law enforcement. It could be anybody. It's a person that has to have the talent to talk to people.
Well,
To make this
even
program.
without this employee, we still have access to the city website, right? The city website, we can put a link for neighborhood watch on there, right? I mean,
yeah, but we
Yeah,
don't want
as
to do
long
that
as
until
it
we're ready.
meets the requirements of the IT division, we can link anything to the
okay.
city website. Here's what I'll say, just to streamline this. The committee is not going to be able to identify a particular person in the city staff because they don't have the authority to do so. So at best, you can recommend that city staff assign a program director. Then the feedback loop is established between city staff and the city council, and I would provide an update as that person is identified. And if the committee is not happy with that decision of who is assigned to it, then you'll have recourse to address that with the council. So if you're okay with having city staff assign a program director, I will work with the city manager's office to identify that person.
Yeah.
Well,
And then also, as part of this, direct staff, and I'm hoping we can do one approval for everything. But on this one, and I'll remind you at the very end, the estimated cost for that city staff person is blank. All you need to do is just direct city staff. Once we have some time to think about it, we'll fill in this
Yep.
approximation of cost.
That's why we left it blank.
I believe it was $10,000,
7,500 last year.
$7,500 last year.
Yeah, it's gonna go up too, because if we have to start advertising and door flyers and stuff.
but
Yeah.
this last year, we didn't spend anything on it.
You didn't spend anything on it.
So, see, we
You
should
didn't
have,
make
we
it.
should have 17 Gs this year. And then if we don't do anything about it, it'd be 25,000 in 2 years,
You ever-
and then I'll do it.
Rick, we got
Yeah.
one plan there.
Did you ever negotiate salaries?
Occasionally.
It doesn't work in
It doesn't
government.
work that way.
Wait.
They have a new budget, and everything gets rolled
We
in.
got a part-time job here.
Okay,
Okay.
we can discuss that one more. I'll just continue on with my
Please.
synopsis.
Do that.
Statistical information and review. This one has been changed,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll identify the things that have changed, and then there's also something that has not been changed, but there was discussion about potential additional change at the last committee meeting. So this is basically the same project as last year. It's related to statistical information and review. It's mostly about the performance measures of the various public safety services in the city. What was added to this item was care ambulance service. They have been added to goals number 1. goal number 4. Just 1 and 4, so that their performance measures would be included. They're under contract, so we can discuss that later. What our purview would be as far as reviewing those performance measures, but at least there would be an independent review of those numbers. Number 6 is what was added, and this is item 6 is new. It says review and analyze the cost performance of care ambulance service.
Doesn't compare.
And compared to the cost performance of the services that would be provided by OCFA in order to ascertain the feasibility of contracting OCFA for city ambulance services. I think this works within the project. It is a little bit different than the rest of the performance measures because you're looking at this for specific fiscal impact. The one thing that was not added but was discussed at the last meeting was Vice Chair Hightower's discussion about the national reporting standards for fire safety services. If you wanted to incorporate those into this kind of project or create a separate project for those, now would be the time to do it. The performance measures included in this project are related specifically to the city's required performance measures as part of our own budget. They're not based on some national reported standards. So that would be something additional above and beyond what the city is currently requesting from public safety services as far as performance measures.
Well, I think this is general enough to cover, to do that. When you look at these performance measures, and there's a lot of performance measures out there, all the cities in the United States and all the world do that. So that's just part of the background, getting up to speed and understanding these. I think the thing that's probably missing here, though, is that we think that the performance measures that these departments and agencies have are the only ones that exist. The other side of the coin, what does the city council expect for performance measures? They've been getting these measures for 20, 30 years. Do they want to change? And that's one of the things that when I got into this, I think I need to find out who is getting in the city is getting these measures, and then what do they think of the measures? Are these good or not? Why do you need them at all? So, like Captain Capobianco, he submits quarterly, but performance report. I think you do too. I don't know if it's quarterly or not, but you probably do that. And
every division, department in the city reports quarterly.
Right. So to do this, you need to know the city side of it too. What do they want, and are they getting what they want? What are their What motivation do they want to see? I mean, is it just okay? It takes you so long, to get firemen or firewomen out of the fire station, or do they want to know you got a problem? You need another fire engine or something like that. What measures? So. But I think this is general enough to cover those kinds of things. As you go through these tasks, you'll understand just what the background is, what the reason, who to talk to, and the National Fire Authority, the codes, the code that are the accreditation organization that accredited Orange County Fire Department some 30 years ago. They did a whole lot of these measures of performance, and I would expect that the Fire Authority would have adopted the majority of those. Same with the National Fire Protection Association. I'm sure a lot of those are in there, but I haven't seen what the city gets, so I really can't make any kind of a judgment. But I do need to talk and see those things that the city is getting from these organizations. And then
I believe
compare
that
them
I
with the world.
emailed every member of the committee this year the last 10 years of the performance measures as reported in our budget. Those are the quarterly performance measures. What I'm saying is that if you would like the OCFA to provide you that kind of data now, if it's something that they agree to, fine, they can provide you whatever information they want. But they're at this point in time, they're not required to provide that information to the city. That's not something that we ask for. And so the performance part of this project is to accomplish what the city council's primary objective was with this committee, which was to review performance measures and make recommendations to improve public safety services. Item 4 in this one is determine if additional or alternative measures are appropriate and whether comparative benchmarks for public safety personnel performance should be revised or established. That's going to require a report to the council and have them make the decision to change something before we can require something from OCFA. At this point in time, all we're getting from OCFA is what they have been giving us so far. So I want to manage expectations that if you want to see those additional standards, if it's not something that they're currently keeping track of and it's not easy for them to do, i.e. it takes a lot of staff time for them to provide the information you want, there's no obligation.
I'm not going to. I don't know. I'm not going to go ask them to change their operation reporting to the city, but what I'm looking for is I need what the city is getting. Now,
Yeah.
well, we need what the city is getting.
I don't know, that's too bad that Campo Bianco's in there, because for law enforcement, we wouldn't be looking at any kind of national standard for law enforcement, because there really is none. I mean, we go under post in California.
You got the FBI stuff.
And it's pretty cut and dry. Does the fire department, is there a national
Yes,
standard?
it's called OSHA. Yes, they have to adhere to OSHA regulations.
Well, they do.
Well,
Yes.
everybody does that.
But specifically the fire.
Oh, there's specific things that the
Yes.
fire department does under OSHA?
Yes.
See, I think going back to when we just started this committee, is trying to determine, you got the quantitative stuff, but you need the qualitative analysis of what does it all, that stat mean? And we haven't been able to sit down and actually understand what the heck does all those numbers mean? And do we need to need more data to make a recommendation? Are we getting the best bang for the buck or not? And we don't know that yet, because it takes great amount of analysis to understand that, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it's difficult because I don't think the OCFA or OCSD, we get what we get. I mean, it's numbers, as far as people and deployment, but the standards that they use is the standards that they use. We don't really have it. The city doesn't have any say in that whatsoever.
Actually, we do.
Oh, I would think they would have a large say. I mean, they're funding.
Wait, in their procedures and how they do things?
They need to know if that's how you measure their performance and determine if you're getting, you call it the bang for the buck. Yeah, the city council has to have that, and they have to have faith that those measures are actually going to.
So if we decide that the police department should prioritize their calls in a certain way, and we tell them to do that, you think they're going to do that? Well, I don't.
But if they're not prioritizing their calls and telling you how many they have and how many they can.
Oh no, they tell us. They tell us.
Well, then see then.
But they're not going to change. If we go look at it, well, this isn't.
No, but
this isn't efficient. You should do it this way. They're not going to change
but what
that.
it told you was that they're having a problem and they need additional funding. They need additional men. They need additional.
Well, they're always telling
equipment.
us that. I don't need any big analysis to figure that out.
I'm on their side because they've got to get that to the city, and the city council really should be asking for performance measures that they think are important.
I think they do. I mean, they do. It's
well,
because
that's part of this exercise.
It's response time
sure
and it's response time. That's
Okay.
the first
All
thing.
right.
I don't know if there's anyone in this room that has the ability to check the standards and compare their standards to see if they're doing a great job or a bad job. I mean, the city years ago, the city hired a firm, Matrix, to check out our police services, and I mean, they put a lot of money, and a lot of time and effort, and some people didn't like to study, other people like to study. You know what? And basically, we're still doing the same thing. So if we want to spend a lot of time getting these standards and stuff and trying to compare at our level of knowledge, you know, I'm not gonna waste my time doing that.
Yeah,
I don't have the ability to do that.
I gotta agree with Joe in that it's all about, do we need more cops? Do we need more fire people? Are we doing okay with what we
And
have?
it gets down to be a political decision. All that
And
stuff.
those standards we can look at, like I say, by response time, by number of calls handled, by arrests, by arrest closures. That's all available, and we can say, gee, you know, they're doing a pretty good job, or gee, we maybe need more cops to do it. But as far as going
I
beyond
think
that,
the
I don't
better
know.
information we
Do
get, or
do we have any other say?
the better information
Well-
we get is with people like this that come in and talk to us and say, hey, this is happened to us, and this was the response we got. That's better information for me.
Yeah,
Hey,
well, that's-
let's take care of that. You know, I mean, we on T Street, you know, the city put a new video camera up there, and when you know, we had someone stole a car right in front of that video camera, right in front of them, in the middle of the day. The guy watched the guy walk down to the beach, and he saw the surfer go in, grabbed his keys, went up there and started clicking, and sure enough, it went on. He jumped in and stole the car. Now, I've been trying to find out through the city, hey, was that video camera used? We put it in last year. This is the perfect time. I haven't been able to get an answer. I don't know if it was used or not. So it's stuff like this, information we get like this, that I think we could act upon and get better response. You know, not trying to go through, you know, all the accreditations. I've been through the accreditation stuff. You know, God, that's hard to read, hard to get into. You know, but that's just my.
A lot of these may not be important to the city council. You know, Kathy Ward is on the board of directors for the Orange County Fire Authority. She probably knows more than about what's going on there than anybody in Orange County, in San Clemente. You know?
Hey.
And actually, I'm trying to get a meeting with her, you know, to talk about it and find out just what she thinks about this kind of an issue.
Well, going back, if we're gonna look at this, I just think you gotta have another goal here, or at least, you know, put something on here specifically. I don't think it's, we've had trouble with saying, oh, it's general enough on our work plan, and then the city council looks at it and says, no, you're not gonna look at that. So I think we ought to have it specifically, something.
I will say, just from staff's perspective, this project is probably the most detailed work plan project of any committee or commission in the city.
It's very challenging.
The committee is specifically tasked, and when I say specifically tasked, I mean it's codified in the municipal code, that the committee is to review performance measures and make recommendations to improve public safety performance. Now, with that, that doesn't mean that any performance measures actually need to be changed. But I would say that there have been times where it's been necessary to update the data that is reported. For the divisions that I've worked in the city, I have gone through the process during the budget cycle to update the performance measures to actually reflect the work and the efficiency of staff. You know, for marine safety, they're like one of the best examples. It's really simple what they need to report. They need to report how many people it takes to have 0 deaths. That's really what we're looking at.
Say that again. Sorry.
Well, they report how many people, you know, how many
Drown.
staff they have, how many people, how many rescues they have, and how many people drown. Those are the big numbers that marine safety is responsible for. But the point of the performance measures is that it should inform you as to the efficiency with which they provide those services. If they spent $12 billion a year preventing drownings, when you could spend $300,000 a year preventing all drownings, well, one of those options is more efficient than the other, and that's the point of the performance measures. I agree. This is general enough that we could discuss performance measures with OCFA. If they have those numbers, then I'm sure that they would be happy to provide them. What I would tell you, though, is that OCFA's current numbers that they report, half of them relate to their building permit plan check efficiency, how many plan checks they review, which it's an important aspect of fire services, but it has nothing to do with rolling a fire engine out of the
Absolutely agree.
fire station.
And that's the problem. Everyone has these input-output formulas, you know. We went on this many fire inspections, we found this many problems. Well, you know, it's the outcome of what we're worried about. How many fires did you have? How many more last did you have? How many, we had a pools program in West Covina. We started every house in the city, we went and put our flyers on pool safety, and we went out. We knocked child drownings from 10 or 11 a year down to 1 a year. And that's the outcome thing that we're based upon. And I think that would be easier for us to look at the end of the year to say, hey, what was the outcome? And just like we have reports like this, when was an officer called out where his hands were tied, he couldn't do anything? That's the kind of problem we have. That's what people want to know about things.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah,
Joe. Yeah.
It's important to say, oh well, we went on this many fires, we did this many responses. Well, let's compare to last year. What happened? You know, and that would be easier on us also. So we're not giving an opinion; we're just giving facts. You know, so that's where I think we should go toward on this. Be more outcome
I
based
think
instead
we're
of
talking kind of the same thing, maybe, but as far as marine safety, you know, it's more than drownings. I mean, you know, there's dogs on the beach, there's electric bikes, there's all these things that really they should be reporting back to the city council. But the public is really concerned about things like that. You just can't focus on drownings. It's more, they do a lot more than drownings.
That
They've got
was a simplified
problems with
example.
erosion.
Right.
Yeah.
I will tell you
It's kinda
this,
sad.
dogs on the beach are going to be park rangers or animal services, and e-bikes are going to be park
We
rangers
got that on our
or
work.
Orange
Yeah.
County
That's on our
Sheriff's.
work.
something else.
But I think we can all agree that this project is general and specific enough that we can all of the committee members' concerns can be
I think we
investigated through this.
I think so too.
Yes?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're good.
perfect.
They're good
Because
there.
I'm just looking at
Okay.
the police side.
All right.
I'm going to jump to the very last one and talk about
I'm
technology
looking at the
review.
fire side.
Well, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed on the technology review,
Okay.
so that one's the same. And then I'm going to let Rick, committee member Leffler, talk about human trafficking and e-bicycle / traffic safety.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I'd love to talk about this. Okay, let's go with the easier one first. Let's go
Oh,
with the
which one?
Let's go with the e-bicycles and the traffic part. I think that's going to be much more easy to digest. As we all know here in this committee, the e-bike issue has been huge the last couple of years. And we tried to have a joint thing with the Beaches and Parks Committee and how we're going to solve this problem. And how well did that work out?
Not well.
Not well. So I think, I'd be happy to take this on with anybody else who wants to volunteer with me, Nick, and we'll.
I don't mind.
And so I think the city council needs to be aware of all the issues that have come up with the bikes, both safety-wise and traffic enforcement-wise. There's a lot of things that have come up in the last 6 months even that have changed on this. And so made it a separate project. And again, all we can do is make recommendations on best practices and information we have. But at least I think, if nothing else, the optics from the citizens would say that somebody's concerned about this also. And so that's basically it. I think it's kind of a simple cut and dry thing. So we'll be getting statistics, because now we have statistical information. Chief Capobianco was talking about injuries. Now they're actually tracking the injuries, whether people are wearing helmets, and I think probably OCSD is probably doing more tracking of e-bike related. Maybe they're doing it more. I see the blank look, so maybe they're not doing it more.
I made a phone call based off our last meeting. There was, comments about the CHP 180 possibly having an inbox.
That's what I was asking.
They do not.
They do not.
So we had heard that too. I reached out to the captain of the highway patrol, Ben Captain. I think he's getting promoted, moving to Sacramento. Corey Ball from San Juan Capistrano's office. And he said no, they have the latest versions and there's no separation for e-bikes. Like everybody says, like that would be a good idea.
It's crazy.
Yeah. because they fall under, according to the DMV, right, they're bicycles.
Even though
Motorized or not.
28 miles an hour with a throttle, never having to pedal, and you can
Rumor
put a
is-
7-year-old on one.
With the
Rumor is
surfboard.
for this Christmas, you might see one that goes 40 miles an hour.
Oh, even better. It's nuts. Well,
Yeah.
that's something. God, that should go under legislative. I mean, somehow they need to
It's
keep
not a
track of what's happening.
it's not a crisis yet. If it becomes a crisis, they'll do something.
Yeah. Well, we had one lady killed, right up the street here on an e-bike, and it was because probably she was on an e-bike.
San Juan Capistrano.
San Juan Capistrano there on the.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, it's.
A
No,
kid
no.
hospitalized in Tualaga
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I know the fire department is keeping some good stats on injuries now, and whether they're wearing helmets or not, they're trying to do that.
So
So,
most of the injuries were caused, or the accidents were caused by drivers, not the bike riders, according to Captain Bianca. That's a statistic, and that's an important one to know. Because they're checking that. Yeah.
yeah,
There are just a couple maybe that were caused by the e-bike rider. It's amazing how few of them are
That's
really
what our
causing
our
accidents.
records show too. We
Yeah.
did it, and I think I spoke about it once before.
And one of the
Informal
reasons is because
research.
cars don't expect a 28-mile-an-hour bike to be coming up on them in their
They-
blind
they
spots or
either-
whatever. That's one reason.
So
And half the time it's acting like a bicycle, the other half of that time a car.
Yeah,
Depending on what the light's doing.
right.
So these kids are either taking a crosswalk or jamming over. So it's a problem.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll just try to look at the laws involved and the accidents involved and make that information available to the city council if they ever decide they want
Isn't
it.
it going back to the council pretty soon, you guys?
I don't think it's due to, is it?
I'm not aware of
Oh,
anything
yeah?
the council's supposed to take up related to e-bikes.
I think they were gonna review though how the signs on the beach trail or something, they were gonna look at that to see if there was any, because they posted signs and so they
Yeah,
were
there were
gonna.
some sign issues,
So maybe they're gonna
but
look.
I don't know that the actual e-bike regulations.
Yeah, no, I don't think the
That
regulations
issue
show up.
That's what the women are worried about on Friday mornings.
Oh, yeah.
Is the beach with the e-bikes by the beach.
I read it on social media every
I
day.
used to walk
That's the
the
Friday
little
walk.
stretch in
You're
Capital, right there by the railroad tracks where the bridge over the tracks go. And I stopped walking because of the e-bikes.
Yeah,
on the
it's
bridge,
pretty
like-
crazy there.
It is. It is. and-
Well, that's the problem. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
You could do a lot of good there. We'll keep doing that one because that's where we need to prevent injuries in the future.
Yeah, no,
Somehow, this is important. This isn't a trivial.
It's important to the community, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, right,
I mean,
Like a 40-mile-an-hour e-bike, that's going to be a game changer.
They'll be legal on the freeway pretty soon. 7-year-old.
so,
Jeez.
uh,
okay.
did you want to move on to the human trafficking?
I
Or were there any
I do.
discussions about the e-bike?
I think we've discussed it. It's
Everybody's
a simple thing. And remember on all these on the work plan, even though 2 people are kind of primary working on it, remember it all has to come back to the committee, whatever's happening. So it's not like anybody's being locked out with their opinions or anything on these.
Yeah, good point.
So we're all involved in all of these. So.
We're all responsible.
Which will bring us to the human trafficking. Okay, human trafficking, again, this is a really big thing in our community. We have at least 2 groups that I know of, community groups in San Clemente, that this is their number one thing, and they go out and they demonstrate and do all this good stuff. And doing a little bit of research, apparently there's no community in Orange County, let alone the United States, that doesn't have some type of human trafficking issues in their city. We've actually closed down a couple of massage parlors in our city where there was possibly human trafficking going. If not sex trafficking, at least the work part of the human trafficking, because it's not just the sex act, it's if you're getting labor for cheaper than you should be getting it, and whatever. So I put this in there because it was just been suggested by numerous members of the community. I think this one is mostly for optics, because there won't be that much work to do on it except just seeing the latest trends, and what I'll be getting that from is Chief Benfield's been nice enough to give me the name of the person who's head of special investigations for OCSD, which is the bureau that handles that, and so I'll try to keep apprised on that. And then there's also the Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force, which I guess was a big thing a year ago. Now a lot of people are doing their own things because for whatever reason, but it still is in effect and still does give a lot of stats and information. So it'll just be something that we will keep apprised of here, and if there's issues in the city, we'll let the city council know, and I don't think there will be, because usually by the time we'll know, that all will be taken care of by code enforcement or OCSD, which we can also remind the city council that these things are being addressed. So it was just, like I say, there's a lot of people in the community that are real interested in this, and so I thought it
Code
would be good.
enforcement is a big part of it too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just for the committee's edification on this item, code compliance, there are some municipal codes related to human trafficking, meaning that there are certain provisions of like our massage establishment ordinance that require specific things to be provided in massage establishments for the purposes of reducing the possibility of human trafficking. However, if that was something that was identified, the Orange County Sheriff's Department would definitely take the lead on that. And on that topic, if the Orange County Sheriff's Department Vice team does identify massage establishments, and there's more than just massage establishments related to human trafficking, but as an example, if Vice does identify a massage establishment that is providing services that are above and beyond what a licensed business can provide in the city, those cases historically have been turned over to code compliance for us to turn over to our city prosecutor's office to follow up with. So there's a lot of coordination in that respect, but I will say OCSD definitely takes the lead in these types of issues.
That's what I said when I saw the costs involved here. I don't know if there's virtually any cost except if you typed up a status report or something, because code enforcement is already doing these things. Your code enforcement people.
Yeah. So and the costs when they say they're anticipated to be less than $1,000, that's the
blanket.
That's just
okay.
It's a nice way of saying
Not
very
much.
negligible amount.
Rick, there's local agencies, there are local groups that are involved in this. Church groups that actually take care of some of these people.
Right.
Give them shelter, money. And you need to get those involved too, not just these national.
Well, part of this will be certainly to identify stakeholders. That's what we do with every single one of these work plans, is we start identifying the stakeholders.
I'm sure the city council wanted to hear what we're doing, as citizens of San Clemente to deal with this, and that's certainly part of this project. Maybe help them out a little bit somehow.
Okay. Based on everything everybody said, it sounds like this description meets the anticipated work. So with that, Chair Percuda, those are the work plan projects.
What about technology review?
I went over that in
You did
4 seconds before turning it over to you.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Okay. All
Very
right.
quick.
So those are the
No
work
change.
plan projects. Most of them are continuations of last year's projects, with the two that Committee Member Leffler just described. Before the committee takes a vote on the work plan projects, I just want to provide one additional item that was requested of staff at the last meeting. That was a process of communication between the committee and the council for issues for public safety related issues that pop up from time to time that are generally unanticipated at this time of the year. So there are a number of possibilities. However, in order for a communication to occur between the committee and the council, the committee needs to meet. So it has been recommended by city staff that the committee create another work plan project to address this issue and basically memorialize that communication. And I'll give the committee a couple options. The first one would be to create a work plan project that is basically The project name could be something like, urgent issues, urgent public safety related issues occurring time to time. And then the purpose, goals, and deliverables would be to establish a standing item on the agenda related to issues of urgent need, and staff can provide a blurb on the agenda to say that from time to time, particular public safety issues arise that are unanticipated, and the Public Safety Committee will discuss those issues as they arise and provide whatever investigation or evaluation is necessary to provide a communication to the council on such matter and receive direction from them. And then in that way, the committee could send a memo to the council, and I'll leave it up to the committee as far as how they want to do it. It could just be a memo to the council as a whole from the chair. That would be an appropriate designation at any point after the committee's meeting, or it could be during the reports of committees and commissions at the end of the meeting. That memo could be provided to the council. Since the council meets twice a month, typically, the council could at that point take that information and decide whether they want to agendize it for discussion of a future meeting, or they could discuss it with the city manager, and the city manager could say, I can have staff deal with this now. So that's one option.
Well, and then they can also, the city council could also, if it is urgent, have a special meeting just for that particular purpose within 24 hours.
Yes.
Right? Because some things need to be done right away if it's that urgent. Right?
I would hope that if an issue arises that's that urgent, that the city council would be meeting with a special meeting. Anyways.
Probably meeting anyway, but
yeah.
Okay.
I looked up some other words for urgent: crucial, immediate, pressing. I'm not sure urgent is immediate. Sounds good to me. Crucial sounds even better than urgent.
I mean,
It's just important what we call it because it's going to have to get their attention.
Yeah.
Well,
Unanticipated urgent.
The reason I'm using the word urgent is because when the city council makes decisions, if they do it by resolution or ordinance, if it's an urgency ordinance or an urgency resolution, it has special weight to it, meaning they can make those decisions
Right, sure.
outside of the normal requirements of noticing and time frames. So I'd rather, if we're dealing with issues that pop up that may relate to that type of thing, I'd rather use the word urgent.
So they understand because they already know what urgent means.
Yes.
It's out of norm.
Yes.
I like the idea of it being brought up in the council under reports as opposed to just them getting a separate memo or something, because number one, you know they at least got it.
Yeah.
And number two, it's public, which
Absolutely.
is a good thing,
Yeah.
I think. What I was wondering is, now, so Charlie's made aware of something that falls under this urgent, and he comes to our next public safety meeting, and is this something that's handled under new business, or does he have to get somebody, does he have to call Joe who says, yeah, you're right, this is urgent, and then agendize it for our meeting?
Well, if it's that important, then we can go.
Well,
we can go for
It
a
would be
24-hour one special meeting.
Well, no, I'm not talking about how the,
Let's just say
I'm talking about
we're talking
something
about
not
for a
24
regular meeting.
Yes.
What I'm describing is having a standing item on the agenda that whether there's something
For
urgent or not.
unanticipated
Yes,
something. Okay,
yes.
so it's always on the agenda.
It's all.
Okay.
It would,
All right.
Stuff.
We could say it would be a standing item probably under item 8, new business,
Okay.
because they would all be new business, and it would just be standing item A, matters of urgency that may arise from time to time. I'll put a blurb under that says, what the purview of that is. The committee can just bring up an issue at that time and make a determination about what to do with that item at that meeting.
Okay.
Whether that's, forwarding a recommendation to council, whether it's adding something to
A work plan.
the work plan
Okay.
as it may already allow for it, but it would be a place on the agenda where nobody needs to agendize it ahead of time.
Okay.
As staff, I would recommend that you just contact me so that I'm aware of it, but it could be something that arises an hour before.
And then that's something you would read under reports at the next council meeting.
It would be something, probably the city clerk would read
Okay.
into the record during reports.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Adam, would it work the other way too if the city council wants the committee to do something urgently for them? How would they go through you, or what's the procedure for that?
The last time they directed the committee to do something,
E-bikes,
they
right?
did two. At one meeting, they agendized a discussion about, and actually there were two items. There was the e-bikes, and then there was the shopping carts and the personal storage.
That's right.
And so they agendized it for the next meeting, and then at that meeting, they got, that was Mayor Pro Tem Gene James's item. He got concurrence from the rest of the committee to direct the council, to direct the committee to investigate those particular items. So that's how they would typically do it. If it's something on their agenda that they could take action on at that time, they could just assign it to the committee.
Shopping carts was an urgent item.
No, it wasn't urgent. It was they
they
wanted public safety committee to look at it. There wasn't anything urgent
Yeah,
about
but
it.
how does it go?
Oh,
how does the direction
oh,
go
okay.
downhill?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
To us.
Okay.
What are the other options besides work plan?
Besides creating another work plan,
Right, for
or
this
just
particular thing? Or do
for another way to do this
Yes.
work plan. Another one would be establish a procedure where instead of putting a standing item on the agenda, somebody can come to the meeting, present the issue at hand, and then ask that it be agendized at the next meeting.
So that takes a whole month.
So that takes a whole
Yeah.
extra month.
No, the quicker that's the way.
That's the way we work.
Another option would be instead of, and the council's going to review this. So one of the other options would be to have a work plan project that allows for, this is basically the catch-all, that allows for the committee to investigate issues as they arise with no council review.
Well, that could be open-ended to anything.
Well, I don't think
It could be.
You think the council? I don't think the council would even approve that one.
Well, they might. I mean, there
They
could be
might,
something like if the committee decides to take up an issue
Mhm.
based on something that's occurring, something unanticipated that's occurring,
Right.
that the committee may move forward with that, and as long as they also at the next possible meeting send a memo to the council letting them know the issue that they're working on, and if the council is not supportive of that, they can say, well, why
Squash
should
it.
you do that? So it's more of a notification rather than a direct request or
So what's your recommendation as the proper vehicle? The initial one you talked about? Is that cleaner?
that is cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a standing item on the agenda.
Okay.
It can be discussed at every meeting, and from that meeting, the committee can provide the chair with the direction to send a memo to the council related to a particular issue that they would like direction on. Yeah.
All right. What action do we need on this?
Just a committee approval, since it's not written, I can provide a bit more overview on what it would say.
All
But
right.
at this point, it's probably easiest if you just
Give you
provide me the direction of what it would say. So, based on what we've talked about, the item would have a name similar to urgent matters, reviewing of urgent matters that may arise from time to time. The purpose, goals, and deliverables of the project would read, from time to time, issues of a crucial or urgent need arise and are unanticipated. The committee will agendize a topic of discussion for every meeting agenda to discuss these issues as they may arise. The committee may investigate and evaluate this situation and determine whether a memo is necessary to council or direction.
Recommendation, yeah. You're going the right direction.
Okay.
We got it.
The estimated project cost would be nothing, because at this point, it's all of the committee's
Right.
volunteer efforts. The project timeline would be an ongoing project. Resources needed, we would say minimal staff time needed, and then it's a new project. So that would be my recommendation.
Sounds like a plan.
Right.
Anybody object with that? Charlie? Yeah,
Oh, no.
heartburn?
No.
Yeah.
Okay?
I don't think we have to even make a motion, right?
Because with those written.
The committee's gonna need to make a motion on the entire work plan project. So if we have that one lined up,
Yeah.
all of the other ones that we've discussed, including the human trafficking and e-bicycle traffic safety one, are as they were published in the agenda. The only one that I have a change on is the neighborhood watch program. Goal number 1 is to be revised to read, recommend city staff assign a program director to work with OCSD designee and the public safety committee to develop and implement the program.
Right.
So
Agreed.
with all of those changes,
Yep.
if there's a motion and a second,
Okay.
and then a vote.
All right. Anyone make motion?
Rick's the best at doing that.
Oh, well, so what, this is the 21-22. I move that we accept the annual work plan 2021-22.
With modification.
Oh, with modification.
But my, yes,
With that
came
run.
out,
Right.
yeah.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Good. All in favor, raise your hand. We got a
That's, it looks
unanimous.
like 4.
That's enough. Yeah. Okay.
I really wanted to discuss that, guys.
Wait, are you kidding?
Yes, I
gotta
Oh,
let
yeah.
I gotta let y'all know, there's 39 years ago, I forgot my wife's birthday. I'm still paying for it, and it's her birthday today, so I'll be out of here.
Oh, my wife's birthday was
They
Friday.
never forget, do they?
Never.
Never,
Mm-mm.
do they?
Mm-mm. No, you're paying for it forever. Yeah. Okay.
Well, when you have 3 wives, you spread out.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, no.
All right. Let's take care of business here. Any reviews and recommendations that we've gone through that one, beat that one up yet?
We are on item 10.
Oh my God, we have. Okay.
Well, so do we pass through new business?
Yes.
I had one thing for new business. Is that okay?
Please.
It was, I wanted to discuss the possibility of going back to Zoom meetings.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Good job.
yes.
And I'll make a brief thing. This didn't work out exactly like what I had thought when we were going public. I mean, the public can't tune in on Zoom and see our meetings. They can't even see our meetings. It's an audio thing that we have later. It's going to definitely be an issue with getting Rob Capobianco, I think, to come to every meeting because he isn't based in San Clemente. It's also going to make it more difficult for presentations. The way we do it now, if somebody want to come and make a presentation, that we can't do it.
We have to drag him out from Santa Ana down here.
Well, yeah, and plus we can't do the PowerPoints or anything that anybody can
Right.
see.
Go to our library.
Now, we do need to have a way to have public, make comments or which we did under Zoom. They were written. Or, I mean, I don't know if there's a way to still Zoom the meeting and still have somebody here Zooming from this room also. So if somebody wanted to come in and make a comment, I mean, if that was possible, that would be, if we Zoomed, I still might come in here and, come here and Zoom, but,
So I'm careful that I don't want to encourage the committee to discuss an item that's not on the agenda. What you're bringing up, if you would like to agendize it for discussion at the next meeting, you can.
okay.
But informationally, I can tell you, and I would like to clarify a few things. The first is that the governor's order for the suspension of public meetings was revised, and it was revised as part of Assembly Bill 361, which provides specific directions for how meetings work. While there can still be some remote aspects of meetings, all of the people on a board or committee or commission need to be at a meeting place. So everybody here would still need to be here. The public is required to have the ability to make public comments for the entirety of all items where the public has an opportunity to speak on. So it would be many of the things that the committee has on their agenda. So that's a little difficult when it's just Zoom. However, I believe that many of the issues that you're raising might be addressed by televising the meeting. The presentations, I believe we can deal with using existing technology and this room. It may be nice to get like a camera for this, but this screen is a computer, and somebody could zoom in and present the way.
So are you saying we're not going to agendize it now because you're telling us this?
No, we're going to agenda, he's
I
giving
mean,
us
well,
some background information. We're not going to discuss it.
Okay.
So
We could
we do have options for that.
talk about that.
We have options for that. So I just want to clarify, if the committee wants to agendize this for the next meeting, I can anticipate that we'll be talking about televising these meetings.
Okay.
So I hopefully could get an answer on the feasibility to do that at the next meeting,
Good.
and any other questions that are still outstanding.
Okay, I'd like to agendize that for our next meeting and direct staff to come up with all the possibilities and ergonomics that are involved. Is that reasonable?
I think at this point, the only authority the committee has is to agendize it. Knowing that it's on the agenda, I will
Okay.
get all of that stuff taken care of.
Your comment about the governor, whoever it was, that said you have to have all the members at a meeting face to face. The last board I was on, we had weather issues and things, and as long as one board member was there and the others are online, they had a quorum online, and people could come to where those people were meeting face to face, it was okay. That worked. It sounds like then if one of us can't make it because of something, an earthquake or whatever, we can't participate in the meeting remotely. That doesn't sound right.
This is a new law.
It's a law.
Yeah, we're still going through it.
Yeah.
It's meant to memorialize certain aspects of the governor's order, the executive order that allowed for us to start Zooming meetings in the first place.
Right.
So we're still plowing through it. I will have a full breakdown of it at the next meeting. But in my quick reading of it so far, all the members are required to meet in the same place.
So that's hard to believe. That doesn't seem reasonable to me.
You're not the governor.
Yeah.
Well, I don't agree a whole lot ever with him, but
Yeah. So I will get an answer
Yeah, you got to clarify
question.
that, because that doesn't seem like a very efficient
Yeah.
process at all.
Well, I can tell you this: like prior
Because you
to
won't have a quorum.
prior to COVID, we never had people zooming in on meetings that were not able to attend. So if the planning commission met and not all the members were able to be there in person or they were on vacation, they didn't have an opportunity to join remotely. And so I believe that the bill is just getting back to that. Anyways, I'll have more information on that.
Digest that one.
Yeah, but
I need
in
somebody
order
else
to
to,
agendize it.
I need another person to say they wanted agendized. Okay.
Three, there we go. That's what
Better.
we need for a staff report.
All right, unanimous.
Run it. Okay. Any other new business?
Point of order, did we do the approve the minutes of last month?
Yeah.
We did, that's the
I
first
wasn't
thing we
there?
did. You weren't here.
Okay.
We're a very efficient group.
You did the
No.
Pledge of Allegiance and everything.
No, you were here.
Oh, yeah, you were.
Because you walked in on that roll call.
Uh-oh.
That's right, so
Okay.
We're that
Just told
efficient.
on yourself, you weren't paying attention.
I guess.
it passed unanimously, didn't it?
Yeah.
Minutes?
it did.
Correct.
I just want confirmation, that's all.
I crossed you off.
Okay.
When we do the minutes for this meeting, I'll confirm.
Any other new business, old business, something? If not, let's go for a report.
Yeah,
Anything new
yeah,
from
yeah.
Fleet Services for the city?
Not a lot new for fleet services, but I will throw a quick plug out there that on November the 9th, I'm sure you're all familiar with Coffee with a Cop, and they kind of do it everywhere. We're going to start to try to do those quarterly, and rather than just come and say hello to your local law enforcement, we're going to try to make them a little more informational for the public. So the first one will be Tuesday, November 9th from 8 to 10. It's going to be at the Starbucks in Talega. And because it's fire season and because we recently released our evacuation maps for the city, we're going to have the maps there with the QR codes, and fire's going to join us. So we'll be coffee with police and fire. And they're going to give out the Ready, Set, Go information and packets. And moving forward into the first quarter of next year, I think we're going to try to team up with Marine Safety because we'd be gearing up for the summer season, try to do something with them.
Good job.
And so that's going to be our kind of our model moving forward, is try to make them more informational, not just to get out and interact with the public, but try to give them some information that might be helpful to them.
That'll help if they
sounds
would.
You're not getting any more ATVs. Whatever you got's what you're going with.
Now, which coffee place in Toledo?
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Yep. And we're gonna start advertising for that about a week out, maybe 10 days out. So
Good.
next week we'll start advertising for it on our page.
All right.
And then I'll send it to the city manager. I don't know if they put it out. If they typically would put that out. If not, then no. But we'll have we'll have some flyers up at Starbucks as well in advance.
Good. Perfect. Nothing from fire services that we know of? Any report?
No, I've not
Okay,
received it.
and Marine Safety, anything from them? That they give me a report?
No, nothing to report for them.
Then it gets down to me. Ooh. I talked to our Public Works Director, Kyle Kroger, regarding a disaster planner. And he, I asked him if I could share this information. And he says, swell. He's in conversations with a consultant to hire a disaster planner. So that's going to be upcoming. So nothing more than that I can come up with on that. Also, I asked him about having a tour of the EOC, which is down at the Public Works place, and he's okay with that and wants to show off the CERT trailer and whatever. But it'll be first week in November, I guess. He was looking at a week from Friday, but we haven't had a time. I haven't nailed him down yet. So I gotta. That may not be good for me, but I'll get with you guys and find out when a good time would be to do that. We can't talk business, but it's a look-see, right? Field trip to see what the resources are.
I would recommend what the council calls 2x2.
2 plus 2, yeah.
Meaning that the committee does not all go.
Okay, we did have two separate.
Yeah, because it's actually more than just discussing items. Even if a quorum is presented with information,
Yep.
that's something that they may decide on. It's
I think what they can do though is two can go start the tour, and 20 minutes later, the second two can start the
What
tour.
happened to cost? Cost? All four of us can't go?
Oh, of course you can. It's just an
We
open
won't be
public
presenting any
meeting.
information that they would have to decide on.
I'm just saying,
No, that's just a public event, just like
Same thing.
all four people can show up to a council meeting.
You know what?
same thing he's talking about.
I'm just telling you what the direction has been given to us. I can tell you what concerns that have been raised about
Yeah.
when 3 members of a particular body have been at a very social location. That's, I would say,
Wait.
avoid even the appearance of a violation of crime. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, you can be over there with 2 people and 2 people over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, we'll make the EOC like Disneyland, like Pirates.
Exactly.
Pirates of the EOC, and we'll
I can
send
guarantee you one
separate
thing,
tours.
if Malibu ain't gonna be at the EOC, you're not gonna have any problem over this. I can guarantee you that.
Okay,
I'm giving you staff perspective.
thank you. All right, let's see what else I got here for you real quick.
So if the 4 of us are in the supermarket and they see you, turn and run right out of Ralph's as fast as you can.
As long as working code is one thing,
Now, see, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Real quickly, we dodged a bullet regarding bicycles. The governor did veto a bill that would permit a person riding a bicycle approaching a stop sign to yield the right of way to other vehicles that have stopped at the entrance of the intersection, which means what they're doing now, bicycle guys going blasting through intersections.
And that can make that legal?
They would have made that, this, under this AB 122, would have made that legal. Well, there's an explanation why he did it, because now these little kids don't know any difference, and they say, oh, it's legal, okay, get clobbered, okay, so. There's another one that came up real quick here, was a street closures and designations. Authorizes local authorities to implement a slow streets program to close or limit access to vehicular traffic on certain neighborhood local streets. Okay, that's not quite in yet, but that's the one I'm bothering. So I'm looking at this stuff too. Yeah,
Oh, appreciate it.
yeah. So I've got, if anybody else wants something else to throw on there.
What will they think of next?
Yeah, so, anyway.
One less thing you've got to enforce. Running stop signs.
Keep them coming.
So, God.
If you legalize everything, we'll have no crime.
All right. Hopefully, I'll have a presentation next week, or next month, but I'm not sure it's going to work without a Zoom type of platform. So let's see what happens, and we'll go from there. So, committee members, Rick, do you have anything?
Well, I want to thank people for coming in. That's actually what this committee was originally designated for, was a conduit from citizens to the city council on different issues. So thank you for coming in. Feel free to come in anytime. Won't always be this entertaining, I'm sorry, but it won't be as long either. Also want to thank Chief Benfield on the enforcement he's been doing in our city. I know the city council's aware of this because I spoke to the city council about it, but what we've seen here is additional enforcement on the beach trail between the pier and North Beach by the police. Also, what I think is the biggest thing, they started this towards the end of the summer, is bar checks. Spending a lot of time in the T-zone downtown, going in and building up rapport with the bar owners and restaurant owners and making themselves visible down there, which I'm sure has had a big impact on cutting down the regular 415 assault jump that always happens down there. So that's one of the things I want to add. We're doing these performance measures. I like to see the statistics. What my measures are as 38 years as a cop is is how effective the police work is being done. And I've seen a real huge improvement in that over the last couple of months. And I just want to thank Captain Benfield and his activity that he's taken to almost maintain and improve the public safety in our city.
And the cooperation. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. I take you with me wherever I go.
Yeah, well, just so nice not to hear no. Every sentence. It's refreshing.
No, it can't happen.
Yeah, it can't happen. No, we don't do that. So that's nice.
Oh, okay. Joe,
No.
Vice Chair.
Well, first I'd like to thank Bill over there. He's been a great help. I'm kind of working with Bill on the Arden network, and I've been doing a little research too. Over in Mission Viejo, they have an emergency operating center. It's got the 800 megahertz and all that. Not last month or a month before, they actually had an exercise where nobody knew this was going to happen, but they closed it down. They closed the 800 megahertz down. Phones went out, everything. The only thing that was left was what Bill's talking about, that technology, and they have pretty
Was
good
that the
success.
countywide exercise?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's countywide. I know it's Mission Viejo, but
Whenever they
it
did
was-
not turn up and stuff for that exercise.
yeah,
That'd
it
be a
was
good test.
it was really a good test of that, and it was very successful. The HF didn't work too well, but
We did, I bet you it was the same thing, we had done with the HF.
yeah,
And just for you guys, I mentioned it at a council meeting, I think you were there, but Tri-Cities Races,
yeah,
we nailed it. Every event we said we'd do, we did it, you know, ahead of time to standard. And where I'm gonna be actually involved in the development of the next test, so, so
I hope so.
it's good.
that's
Good.
great. Yeah. Then I also thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. And we'll get together too, because get some other issues to work on. Chief Capobianco took me on a tour of the fire stations here in San Clemente, 50, 59, and 60, and talked a little bit about what he does and what he's done for the last 27 years. It's very impressive what he's done. One thing I did learn, though, that he talked about what the most critical thing was in his mind here. It wasn't structure fires, it was wildfires, really. That he says San Clemente is like a peninsula, and we have all these mutual aid agreements in Camp Pendleton and all the cities up north. But that's a long ways away, you know. They have to come. It's not like they're next door. They can't get to something right away. So that's really an issue there that I think needs to be faced. And going through the fire station is kind of interesting, because where I was at, we had more equipment, engines, trucks, and bulldozers than we had room to put them in. And you can't leave those kinds of things outside in the winter, because nothing will kill a fire engine like cold temperature. The water freezes and they just don't start. So you got to have it. These fire stations are nice, and he's got a lot of room for other equipment. And the one thing I would really think that they could use is another wildfire fire engine.
Brush truck.
Type 3.
Yeah, not a type, even a type 4, where you can actually run through fires and things like that, it sprays foam and stuff so the tires don't burn up and everything. And they certainly have room for it. The other thing he said is they don't have a lot of water sources to fight the wildfires out here. This is a desert, although there's some big reservoir being built up here that the helicopters would go to. But I would think that he would want tenders, or tenders of the vehicles that carry water behind there, and it would really probably help them out in his mission of fire protection. The question is, how do you pay for it and everything? But these kind of thing like that fire truck, their fire season up north and ours are 6 months apart, and you could loan the new equipment up there. They pay a lot of money, the federal and state, and probably pay for this new equipment. And the tenders, you can get those from the military. Those are giveaway things. So I don't know why, But anyway, those are my impressions. That they're doing a great job, good staff, but they could use some more equipment for the betterment of San Clemente. And then I visited down there, Rod Malott, Chief Malott, at his office down there by the San Clemente Pier. Again, he's been there a long time. He explained how they hire lifeguards and the process they go through. Boy, they get the cream of the cream down there. What he puts them through, that's for sure. But his problem now is that with environmental changes, that fire station is eroding, and you probably know that they've got a study now to relocate that marine station. Yeah, and like even inland, which seems kind of odd to me that you would move your lifeguard headquarters administrative away from where they actually are. Anyway, he's dealing with that, and I don't know what the city council's. Do you have any background on that, where that's headed?
This has
Just
been a
got kicked
topic
off?
of discussion
Yeah.
for more than a decade with the council.
Yeah.
They've done some temporary fixes. There was a sheet pile wall
Right.
that they
right.
installed to extend the functionality of that marine safety headquarters for, I want to say it was 5 to 6 years, maybe up to 10. The issues of where it's located, part of that is from the California Coastal Commission. Their preference would be for it to be on the east side of the train tracks, not the west. And part of that is due to their anticipation of sea level rise and the issues that a building is going to have and its potential impact on the natural resources if and when the waters come up to it. So that it is a long-standing issue. At this point in time, the feasibility study that's currently underway should provide direction for the council as far as where to really devote their time and energies and potential resources to move that building.
Should we move to adjourn?
Well,
I have a
you
couple
got
items.
staff
If-
guy
if-
here.
He's getting anxious, I can
Yeah,
tell.
but, we have one
Tell you
more.
what,
One more.
Joe ain't going till the rest of us go. That's it.
Oh, yeah. We'll see.
Here, let me call your wife for you.
Hold on, let's
Let's
take
go,
a-
let's go.
Yeah, all right, I'll make this
What
quick.
were we supposed to be, 2-hour meetings, was it 220
3
minutes?
hours, actually. So, a couple items. Recent legislation, Senate Bill 296 relates to code compliance officers and the need for every city and jurisdiction to provide jurisdiction-specific safety standards for their officers. The primary pusher of this, I'll say pusher of this bill, is the CASIO, the California Association of Code Enforcement Officers, Vice President of Legal Affairs, Matt Silver. He is our city prosecutor, so I've been working with him even as this bill's been developed to ensure that the policies and procedures that we currently have in place meet the standards of this bill. CASIO will be putting out some information, and so if and when those examples or samples come out, we will be working with Matt Silver and his team to ensure that our officers our standards are compliant with this new requirement. And then this meeting, the committee will be adjourning to
23rd.
the 23rd of November. That will be the first of 2 meetings for this committee in November. The second meeting will be on November 30th. That's a Tuesday. And it is the City Council will conduct a joint meeting with all of its commissions and committees on Tuesday, November 30th in the Wedgwood Dining Room at the Municipal Golf Course.
What time is that?
The meeting will commence at 7 p.m. However, there is a
Cocktails?
call it social time will start at 5:30 p.m. and then dinner will be served at 6 p.m. Part of this meeting, and I hate to spoil the surprise, part of the meeting will include a training by a representative of the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority on sexual harassment prevention. This 2-hour training is a state requirement for all city officials and employees. So whether you do it at this meeting or you skip this meeting, you will get to do it another time.
Is it online or you have to?
Oh, no.
You're gonna get harassed no matter what, you know?
So if we're
Well, I've been through
volunteers,
that.
we still gotta go through this meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And there are these trainings, I want to say quarterly. And so if any city employees or city officials do not make this meeting, it's usually at the city hall in Tustin.
Oh,
where it
jeez.
is. So we can
Oh, yeah, I'll be there.
carpool. And that is all I've got.
Perfect. I gotta go, gentlemen.
I want to.
I move that we adjourn this meeting of the Public
I second
Safety Committee to reconvene on November 23rd, 2021 at 1500 at 3
I
p.m.
thought you were gonna wait for that until he spoke.
No, he's doing it afterwards.
Yeah.
After the meeting.
Well, no, that's right. Adam wanted us to keep the meeting open until.
That's what you.
Oh,
Is everybody going to participate? Are the three of you going to participate?
I believe, Bill, I believe that it works. I don't think I need to
Yeah,
participate.
it's
Then
not
we're good.
critical that all of you do, certainly.
So adjourn now.
Okay.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Joe, I emailed you.
Happy birthday.
Two things here. Also,
Hey, Rick?
yeah,
You gotta meet with Lisa sometime maybe next.
tell me when I'm there. Okay.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, we'll talk to them here.
Clarification, Scott or somebody about the Zoom in, because our city council meeting, Laura has zoomed
We
in.
mentioned that.
So just see what the deal.
You know, we didn't talk
And
about
then
who's
also
assigned to
keep
these
it
tasks and everything.
Yeah, we did.
Well, it ought to be on there, you know.
Well,
I think
it moves
you
around.
sent me
Yeah,
something.
no, Jesse,
Adam did.
Yeah, I can run it by him because
Yeah, I don't know what did I get roped into? That's all I
I
want.
saw an email
what's
from
important
him
here.
to
Hey,
Eric.
Nick,
Yeah.
didn't Jesse Munn quit Flock?
Now, I heard that, but I don't know.
Oh, okay, I thought I heard he was
Because,
working with.
No, they're him and
Okay,
I've
so-
seen recent emails from last.
He's heavily involved. You ready?
last 2
Well,
weeks.
that's good, 'cause he's the guy.
Okay, you and I have the communications and disaster
Okay.
preparedness.
Essentially the bid.
Okay.
Okay, because there's probably not too
For
many
the
companies.
homeless
that even
best
did that you can provide
management
that service.
practices is Rick and Joe.
Okay.
And then legislation review is Rick.
Since they're license plate
Okay.
holders.
And then neighborhood
there
watch
are
is
multiple companies that keep
Joe and Rick.
their compensation is so much more. There goes.
And then stats
Yeah.
is
so much more expensive.
That's what I
Charlie and Rick.
Everybody
I thought it was
Flock because they're the
Oh, is it
cheapest.
risk?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, he was arguing it.
They're-
I thought.
they're efficient.
that's what they're here to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and then human trafficking is Rick.
Okay.
And the e-bike safety one
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's oh yeah.
is Rick and myself.
Okay.
And then the technology review is myself and you.
Yeah, anyway,
Scary,
well,
huh?
it'd be interesting to see what you come
You know,
back
I
with
forgot
on
to talk
our
about that
meeting.
Raven thing you sent me, but I did did the research on that. Pretty interesting, you know, it's like the automated
If we have a
license
place to have a
plate
meeting, like everybody.
thing. But it fingerprints cars. I don't know if you read it or not, but it's
We met
capable
at
of
a picnic bench in
detecting
Hawaii.
a car.
You'd be there every day.
I would be.
characterize it,
Absolutely.
finding it anywhere else that you have.
What's funny about that is
Fast
right,
breakage,
I had to spin around.
screaming,
I was like,
car
I spun the other
screeching,
way.
automobile accidents.
It sounds
You
like
can hear it.
I just don't know how much it costs, you
You
know?
need to turn
I
around.
signed up for a demo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll know. They haven't contacted me yet.
There's, I mean, I have to zoom
the
in,
one
'cause
that-
we were at the
that,
Capitol
we-
Bay before we got
we're
there.
dealing with
So
for
we go, we hang and all that.
the,
but I'm not gonna
the
It,
flock
cause it was 12
license plate
noon
reader is
our time.
The flock
Jesse
don't.
Bond.
When you're meeting at 3, I said,
And he's
my
an
wife said,
employee.
"No,
He's a
we're gonna be
major
sitting in the room
salesperson
zooming.
for
You
them.
can do whatever you want to do, but you're not gonna be there, so.
Jesse
But
Vaughn.
hey, it worked out
Yeah,
okay.
Flock was system, was software really that went on.
All right. Well, I will find out
License
what our
automated,
options are.
license
Yeah.
plate reader. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I read all the counts.
What you got there, Bill?
A couple of neat things, and
Do you want? Would you like
I already
water?
got one I
Okay.
started, so please. Thank you. This is
Hey,
the.
thank you for the water stuff.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
We've been sitting here talking this whole time.
Yeah, it helps to have the water anywhere.